So, if you're a manager or you work in HR, the letters FMLA are probably part of your vocabulary. But here's something you might not know. The biggest FMLA-related lawsuits, they're usually not caused by bad bosses. They're caused by really good, well-meaning managers who just don't know the rules. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and give you a practical guide to avoid those common traps. Let's dive in.
Let me ask you something right off the bat. Do you think FMLA compliance is just a bunch of paperwork, filling out forms and checking boxes? If you do, you're definitely not alone. But honestly, that's a really dangerous assumption, and it's one that has cost companies a ton of money.
Because here's the reality. The FMLA is a legal minefield. And the scariest part? Most of the lawsuits are not triggered by some manager maliciously trying to deny a leave. No way. They're triggered by simple process failures, well-meaning managers making small mistakes that end up having huge consequences.
So let's walk through the 7 biggest landmines together. These are the most common mistakes that can lead directly to a lawsuit. And once you know what they are, you can sidestep them completely.
First up, mistake number 1. This one happens right at the very beginning of the conversation.
Okay, the biggest mistake right out of the gate? It's waiting for an employee to use the magic words, "I need FMLA leave." The law just doesn't require them to know that specific term. If an employee says anything like, "I need to take time off because my mom is having surgery," or "I'm dealing with a serious health issue," that's your cue. You have to treat that as a potential FMLA trigger and get the ball rolling.
All right, let's move on to mistake number 2. This one is all about the clock. You got to understand, the FMLA runs on a really strict clock. There are very specific deadlines for sending out notices. If you're late sending out an eligibility notice, or you delay designating the leave, it can completely torpedo your defense in court, even if you did everything else by the book. You absolutely need a system to track those dates.
Mistake number 3. This one's tricky because it's all about what you say, and maybe more importantly, what you don't say.
Even a casual, well-intentioned question from a manager can create a huge legal risk. Asking things like, "Wow, is it really that serious?" Or, "Do you think you could maybe work through it?" That can easily be seen as an attempt to interfere or discourage someone from taking the leave they're entitled to. The rule for managers is simple. Stick to the script and pass all the medical questions on to HR and the official forms.
Now for number 4, and this is what I call the informal leave trap.
This happens all the time. A manager wants to be helpful, so they say, "Yeah, just take the time you need," without going through the formal FMLA process. Here's the problem with that. If the leave isn't officially designated as FMLA in writing, you can't count it against the employee's 12-week entitlement. So they could take all that informal time off and still have their full 12 weeks of protected FMLA leave ready to go later.
Okay, let's talk about mistake number 5, and this one is huge. It's one of the most serious errors, and honestly, it's frighteningly easy to make. We're talking about retaliation. It's a scary word, I know, but it can be something incredibly subtle, like noting attendance issues in a performance review for an employee who is out on protected leave. And get this, retaliation claims are often way easier for an employee to win in court than a denial claim. You have to make sure there isn't even the perception of retaliation.
All right, let's turn to mistake number 6. This one's all about the paper trail, or more accurately, the lack of one. Look, if there's ever an FMLA dispute, guess what the court is going to look at? The documents, the paper trail. Verbal agreements and hallway conversations, they might as well have never happened. That's why it is absolutely crucial to have a written record of every single step. Using standardized forms is your best friend here.
And that brings us to our final mistake, number 7, which is kind of the cousin of poor documentation.
Inconsistency. If different managers handle requests differently, or if you make an exception for one employee as a favor, you're opening the door wide open for discrimination claims. Because once you do it for one person, you've set a precedent. The only way to avoid this is to centralize the whole process through HR and make sure policies are applied the same way to everyone every time. Okay, we have walked through the minefield. Now, let's talk about the toolkit that'll get you through it safely. It really all boils down to 2 things: clear communication and a consistent process. This right here shows you the power of a simple script. On the left, you see phrases like, "This is really bad timing." "Oof, that's a legal red flag right there." But look at the right. "Thank you for letting me know. I'll share this with HR so we can get you the right info." See the difference? It's supportive, it's professional, and it protects everybody involved. And for all the managers out there, here is your golden rule, a simple 4-step playbook. 1. Acknowledge what they told you. 2. Immediately escalate to HR. 3. Do not play detective and ask for medical details. And 4. Do not give advice on leave options. Your job isn't to be an FMLA expert, it's to be the bridge to HR.
Now, let's get back to those deadlines, because remember, these are not suggestions. Day 0, your employee makes a request. The clock starts. You have 5 business days, that's it, to send them an eligibility notice. Then, they get 15 calendar days to return the medical certification. Once you get that back, the clock starts again. You have 5 business days to send the official designation notice. You have to hit these marks.
And the best part is, you don't have to invent these documents from scratch. The Department of Labor literally provides standard forms you can use for all of this. Using the official government forms is, without a doubt, the safest and easiest way to ensure you are staying compliant.
So, let's put it all together. Here's your action plan for a rock-solid FMLA process. Centralize all decisions with HR. Train your managers on that 4-step rule. Use standard forms for everything. Document every single step, and be boringly, beautifully consistent. Following these steps creates a process that is strong and defensible.
At the end of the day, managing FMLA well is about so much more than just avoiding a lawsuit. It's really about supporting your employees when they're going through a tough time, while also protecting the business. So I'll just leave you with this question. Take an honest look at your process and ask yourself, is it truly protecting both?